Okay.
So you're done with that, right?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'll reconvene the September 8th meeting of the City Council. May we have the roll call, please?
The record will reflect that all members of council are present.
Mr. City Attorney, do we have a closed session report?
Thank you, Mayor Solich. There is no closed session report this evening.
Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Duffy, followed by the invocation by Councilmember Curry.
Please put your hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. At the university today, I received an email forwarded on from Dan and Marilyn Wilson, who are missionaries in Iraq, who were communicating that the city they lived in, Quiragash, was being overrun by ISIS, and that children were being beheaded because of their faith. We live in one of the most blessed places on earth. Let us never forget, however, that we live in a world beset by unspeakable barbarity not seen since the days of the Nazis. Let us all think in our own hearts about our own responsibility to address and to deal with this. Join me in prayer. Our Father and our God, we, your blessed children, thank you for how you have blessed our community, for your bounty, for the great weather, for the great wealth here. But we recognize that throughout the world there are those much less fortunate, and we lift up today the people of the Middle East of all faiths who suffer under unbearable cruelty. We ask that you would look over them to bless them, and that you would fix in our own hearts the determination that we shall not let these atrocities go unmentioned. Continue to bless our country and our leaders. Give us wisdom tonight in the decisions that we make, and humility in all that we do. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Notice to the public, the city provides a yellow sign-in card to assist in the preparation of the minutes. The completion of the card is not required in order to address the city council. If the optional sign-in card has been completed, it should be placed in the box provided at the podium. The City Council of Newport Beach welcomes and encourages community participation. Public comments are generally limited to 3 minutes per person to allow everyone to speak. Written comments are encouraged as well. The City Council has a discretion to extend or shorten the time limit on agenda or non-agenda items. As a courtesy, please turn cell phones off or set them in the silent mode. Now is the time for City Council announcements.
Councilmember Piotr. Councilmember Petros.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will try and go quickly through this. Well, Labor Day is over and it's back to school. And wouldn't you know, it hasn't taken a single day yet before we have received numerous emails and correspondence from folks around our high schools, our middle schools, and our elementary schools that, yes, traffic is back. The schools haven't even been able to get themselves together yet for the onslaught of the new year. Please know that this city, though, has posted police officers to try and direct traffic and make this as tenable as possible. But I would just ask that parents, residents, our neighbors, if you could please do your part at the beginning of the school year by possibly starting your trip earlier, dropping off a little bit earlier if it's appropriate or if it's helpful, and try and be courteous and safe, slow around the schools to make this, this opening school year successful, safe, and as uncongested as it possibly could be. Many of you have also sent us emails about the changes to arrival or departures from John Wayne and how it has affected your ability and your ability to be outside, your quality of life. I have explained that that is due in part to the changing of the magnetic north of planet Earth, if you can believe that. It is true. And the renumbering of the runway at John Wayne Airport, giving a new sense of the departure patterns for those planes. This is an error. And I just received an email tonight from the JWA, Eric Freed over there, saying that they had heard from FAA this afternoon regarding the fix. And in fact, the first part of the remedy to place the departing planes on the correct path will start on the 17th of this month, and the whole project will get completed by mid-October. So please, yes, you have experienced some changes on the departures. The airport knows about it, the city knows about it, and the remedy is on its way. On the 19th of this month is Coastal Cleanup Day. The city and other organizations around town will be supporting events to clean our beaches, to bring attention to the bay. Please be mindful of those, and we would really love to see you out at the Muth Center, at the Upper Newport Bay, at one of our beaches to help make our neighborhood clean, safe, and a wonderful place to be. And finally, Ms. City Clerk, we're going to host another event in Cliff Drive Park. It is seasonal. For October, we're going to have a movie night in Cliff Drive Park where we'll be showing the Disney film Frankenweenie, a wonderful film about a boy and his dog. The event will be catered by, or be Dogzilla, the food truck, will be available for treats. There'll be free candy and activities, popcorn. Most of all, your council members and some of the department folks will be there as well, so that we can all enjoy a good night in Cliff Drive Park. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Dixon.
Yes, thank you. I'll go quickly here. Several announcements. I'm really pleased to tell you about an exciting new event that's going to be in our community this Sunday, September 20th, between 8:30 a.m. and 12 p.m. Approximately 2,500 kids will be on the beach hand-to-hand, stretching between Newport Pier and Balboa Pier, participating in the first annual Peer-to-Peer Challenge, P-E-E-R to Peer, P-I-E-R. This event is organized and sponsored by Team Kids, a terrific nonprofit profit dedicated to teaching kids about teamwork, compassion, volunteerism, via interaction with our Newport Beach, our very own Newport Beach Police and Fire Departments at local elementary schools. And this event will help launch an International Peace Day that's going internationally. And our purpose is to bring people together to start a wave of compassion. And this, our event here in Newport Beach, is in honor of the compassionate spirit of the little 8-year-old Martin Richard, the young man, little boy, who lost his life in the Boston Marathon bombing. And he was, shortly before he died, in fact, there's an image of him right up there. He was committed to kindness, compassion, and making our world a better better place. Later on this evening in public announcements, Julie Hudash will be speaking. She's the local organizer and is really excited to share more details. So you'll hear from Julie shortly. So I'm really excited to tell you about that. Also, just a little bit of news on the library. A couple special announcements. Library sign-up month. Library card sign-up is come get your library card if you do not have it, and kids and teens are eligible for a special drawing. Also, this Saturday, were you going to be talking about the art exhibit reception this Saturday?
Go ahead.
All right. Sculpture in the Civic Center Part exhibition, grand opening, phase 2, this Saturday, the 12th. The Newport Beach Arts Commission is planning and hosting the grand opening celebration to mark the installation of the 10 new sculptures in phase 2 of Sculpture in the Park, Civic Center Park exhibition between 2 and 5 p.m. So that should be really exciting. And that's all I have time for, except for one other announcement I want to mention, and particularly for those folks who are watching. Next Tuesday, September 15th, community meeting at the Old City Council chambers. This is an opportunity to get an update from our police department and our community development and staff and residents and restaurant owners on the peninsula to talk about what I think and we all believe was a very good summer months on community policing and working together to enhance our quality of life. I think it will be an interesting and informative meeting. 6 o'clock, Tuesday, September 15th. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Muldoon. Councilmember Duffy. Councilmember Curry.
Just very quickly, along with Mayor Pro Tem Dixon and former Councilman Mike Ken, I think others did them on different days, I had the opportunity with staff to walk through the Marina Park structure, and I have to tell you, it is very impressive. Those of you who live on the peninsula who believe that the peninsula has been shortchanged, I think will really be impressed with the quality of the facility and the quality of the programs that are going to be offered at the Marina Park. So look forward to that. The opening will be, I think, December 5th.
Okay, thank you. And I've got 3 quick announcements. The Orange County Community Emergency Response Team Mutual Aid Program won the 2015 FEMA Individual and Community Preparedness Award for Outstanding CERT Program Initiatives. Newport Beach has been a partner in the program since it began a decade ago. Ours is one of 24 municipal CERT programs that train and work together to be ready to provide logistical support during large-scale disasters. Matt Brisboy of our Newport Beach Fire Department serves as one of the program's co-chairs, and he was in Washington, D.C. today with a few of his colleagues to receive the award. Matt's on the far side of the photo that's on the screen. Congratulations to Matt, the CERT volunteers, and all of our program partners. You may recall that our Newport Beach CERT program won the FEMA Individual and Community Preparedness Award for Outstanding Community Emergency Response Team Initiatives back in 2012, and Matt won the White House Champions of Change Award in 2013 for his work overseeing our CERT program. So it's a great program, and we encourage community members to participate. Classes start again in October, and more information can be found at www.nbcert.org. That's www.nbcert.org. And then also, Oasis is having a free annual Resources Expo on Saturday, September the 12th from 9 a.m. to noon. Vendors from several health and wellness groups, caregivers, medical groups, and other organizations will be available to discuss and answer any questions you may have and to share information with. And after the expo, you can stay for a taste of Oasis. A ticket will cost $5 and allow for 4 tastes. For more information or to purchase a ticket in advance, call the Oasis Administration Desk at 949-644-3244. That's 644-3244. And then finally, today, we had a small celebration to mark the reopening of the sports fields at Bonita Creek Park. This summer, the city removed the turf grass on the sports fields and replaced it with more than 157,000 square feet of synthetic turf. The synthetic turf surface will save about 3 million gallons of water annually and reduce maintenance costs and downtime. It should last from 8 to 13 years. The total project cost was about $1.9 million. However, the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California and the Municipal Water District of Orange County gave the city today a rebate check of just over $312,000 for installing the new synthetic turf. So I'm sure all of our athletic organizations are really excited to have this new turf installed because it'll mean they'll get a lot more use out of that particular field. So we move on to item 13. This is matters which council members have asked to be placed on a future agenda. If there's not a problem with any one of these 4 items, I would entertain a motion to approve and set these for a future agenda.
I move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any public comment on this? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back from council for a vote. When the screen comes up.
The motion carries unanimously, 7-0.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
Public comments on consent calendar. This is a time in which council members may pull items from the consent calendar for discussion. Public comments are invited on consent calendar items 1 through 18. Speakers must limit comments to 3 minutes. Before speaking, please state your name for the record. If any item is removed from the consent calendar by a council member, Members of the public are invited to speak on each of the items for up to 3 minutes per item. All matters listed under consent calendar are considered to be routine and will all be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. Council members have received detailed staff reports on each of the items recommending an action. There will be no separate discussion of these items prior to the time the City Council votes on the motion unless members of the City Council request specific items to be discussed and or removed from the consent calendar for separate action.
Okay, are there any public comments on the consent calendar? This is just on the consent calendar only. Public comments.
Mayor Selich and members of the council, my name is Jim Mosier. I submitted some written comments regarding item 5, which is the proposal for 1 year of expedited outdoor dining permits for businesses in Balboa Village. At the time I wrote those comments, I believed the staff report when it said that the item had been discussed and recommended to you by the Balboa Village Advisory Committee at their June meeting. I wanted to point out, if you read the minutes that are attached to the staff report, you'll find that it was actually agendized as a rather different proposal to issue temporary permits just for summer outdoor dining, something that's not in the proposal before you. There were many concerns expressed there about the dining blocking sidewalks. It appears that only a single person recommended a pilot program, and no formal vote was taken on that recommendation. So I'd just like to point out that exactly where this specific recommendation before you is coming from is less clear than the staff report implies. Regarding item 15, the request to increase the aircraft noise limits in the John Wayne Settlement Agreement, we were told again at the study session this afternoon that this is just a change in readings and isn't really a change in noise. You said, Mr. Mayor, that it was like changing from a speedometer in miles per hour to a speedometer in kilometers per hour. I would like to submit that that is not correct. The limits in the settlement agreement are much more like the speed limit sign on a highway that says you have to stay under 65 miles per hour. What we're being told is because the speedometer in one out-of-compliance patrol car was reading 65 when cars were actually going 70, some scofflaws were getting by undetected. As a result, we are told we need to change the speed limit sign to read 70 so that the same scofflaws can continue to get by even after the speedometers in all the patrol cars are fixed. Because the philosophy is to always allow the greatest scofflaw to continue unticketed, this is a methodology that leads only to increases in the speed limit. And contrary to what you were told this afternoon, it leads to real increases. Changing the speed limit line sign from 65 to 70 allows and encourages all cars to go faster. Changing the threshold for Class E flights from 86 decibels to 94.1 at Noise Monitor 1, as we have agreed to allow over the years, allows and encourages all planes to fly noisier. Again, this is something, as far as I know, we are not compelled to do. We don't need to do this. But if we are going to, I believe we should at least ask for something in return. Finally, regarding item 3, the adoption of a new ordinance regarding use of the city seal, I continue to wonder why you would want to adopt a law so confusedly written that you're going to have to ask the city attorney what is allowed and what is not. Why don't you just say in plain English you want to ban all use of the city seal and list the few exceptions you want to allow? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on the consent calendar? Okay, seeing no one, we'll bring it back to council. Councilmember Muldoon, do you have anything to pull? Is it on the consent calendar? Come forward.
I see item number 6 of the consent calendar, adopt resolution 2015-70, a resolution of the City Council to amend City Council Policy G1. Could you please spell out what that amendment is? Because I think there are a number of us who would like to comment on that. It wasn't necessarily clear from the agenda what that was or whether our comments are better off in a later section. Thank you.
Sir, did you want to talk about the Poppy Avenue trees?
Yes.
Did you want to state your name? Well, Mr. Kiff, state your name first.
James Moore.
Okay, if you want to talk about the Poppy Avenue trees, you can get up under public comments on non-agenda items.
Thank you very much.
That'd be the proper place.
Okay.
Okay, any other public comments? Okay, seeing none. Councilmember Muldoon, anything to pull?
I believe Councilman Piotr is going to pull something for discussion that I'll defer to him.
Okay, Councilmember Duffy? Councilmember Curry? No items. Councilmember Piotr?
13, please.
Okay, Councilmember Petros?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Dixon?
I'm recused on item 8, and are you pulling 7?
I'm going to ask staff that.
Okay, all right, I will recuse on item 8, please.
Okay,
And that's based on your real property interest?
I'm sorry, yes, it's because I'm within 500 feet of the affected area.
okay, I have nothing to pull. Mr. Kiff?
On item 7, we request that recommended action be changed to pull that from the agenda entirely and refer that to a study session to be determined.
Okay, is that clear, everyone? Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion on the consent calendar.
Mr. Mayor, I move the balance of the consent calendar, items 1 through 18, with the exceptions of items 7 and 13, which have been pulled. Item 8, which is a recusal by Councilmember Dixon, and item 7 will be continued to a study session.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Prior to reading the vote, I'll read the ordinance titles for ordinance item 3, ordinance number 2015-27, and ordinance of the City Council of the City of Newport Beach, amending Newport Beach Municipal Code Section 1.16.050 regarding the use of the official seal of the City of Newport Beach. Item 4 has ordinance number 2015-25, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Newport Beach approving Code Amendment number CA 2015-007 and amending Section 10.50.020 of the Newport Beach Municipal Code, and ordinance number 2015-26, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Newport Beach approving Code Amendment number CA 2015-007 and amending Section 20.36.050 of the Newport Beach Municipal Code. The motion carries unanimously, 7-0.
Okay,
Can you repeat that?
thank you. Okay, we'll go to item 13. Councilmember Piotr, you pulled that?
Thank you. I was looking for a staff explanation regarding what this is we're taking outside consultants and we're using them for plan check, which I applaud the department for doing, and as well as the fact that they're offering expedited plan check services at a premium cost with these outside consultants, so that it gives applicants a lot more flexibility. My question is that in the budget, we talk about an increased budget as a result of the increased contract cost, but there should be either a commensurate raise in additional fees because we're doing more work, or in-house outside staff, however you want to look at it, so that it shouldn't have a budget increase per se. And I was wondering if staff could elaborate and explain that for us.
Thank you, Councilmember Piotr. I'm Kim Brandt, the city's Community Development Director. And what we have provided for you in the staff report is an estimate on how many of our customers may want to utilize this new service for outside plan check services. And so we've taken what we believe to be a realistic and possibly even bordering on a worst-case scenario in terms of how this service may impact our expenditures. But I think Councilmember Piotr is correct that the use of outside consultants will be managed as we monitor the use of this program, and that the offsets could be attributed to, the cost of the program could be attributed to an increase in permit fees, meaning that more people will wish to use an outside plan checker because our own staff is currently working at a very high level due to workload reaching a capacity, and therefore more people may want to use the outside plan check. Or we may have a situation where people are choosing to use more of the outside plan checking service, and then we would make a corresponding reduction in our in-house staff resources through a variety of methods. So we plan to monitor this as we roll this program out and make appropriate adjustments. But at this point, we are asking for the adjustment to our budget for this fiscal year, and then we'll come back to you at the mid-year, and we can make the appropriate adjustments either to our revenues or our expenditures based on how the program is being carried forward or proving to be implemented. And so we have some real numbers to work with.
That's all I had. And again, I want to commend the department for reaching out and trying to improve their services, which has been a big deal in the city. So I'll move staff approval or recommendation for this item.
Okay, is there any public comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back for council vote.
Motion carries unanimously, 7-0.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next is public comments on non-agenda items. This is the time for the poppy trees. Anyone wants to speak on that, so come forward and state your name.
Hello, my name is Wayne Harrison. I'm Newport's friend and future fellow resident from Fountain Valley. Please refer to the flyer that I've provided for you. Those of you here today, either on the council or in the audience, that agree with the Supreme Court decision on same-sex marriage, even those of you who merely just conceded to it, have robbed yourself a very important right. I congratulate those of you on the council who didn't vote to censure Scott because you, like Kim Davis in Kentucky, have not surrendered that right. You have not condemned your eternal souls to silence in the face of this evil. When I spoke last time, I quoted John MacArthur, who described the Supreme Court decision as a terrorist act to exceed all terrorist acts. Then I described how the president's innocent daughter parroted what the education system taught her in opposition to her father's position, and how he was tricked like so many of you. To illustrate the right you lost, I brought the show and tell that little Mylea did not bring home for her father to see. The sodomy recruitment poster before you is that show and tell that you who agree with same-sex marriage have not considered. When a parent was aghast to see the poster on the wall of his child's school, the school still defended its contents. After all, anal sex is just one of the many ways to express your sexual feelings, kids. Now, if this parent had made a public statement agreeing with same-sex marriage, like many of you, he would instantly realize that he now has absolutely no right to object to the school teaching his child sodomy. You who voted to censure Councilman Piotr have surrendered that right. And because you cannot be counted on to protect the innocent, you're now morally broken. The shackles you meant for Scott are instead on you. You don't break the law of nature. The law of nature and of nature's God break you. Now, only a true friend like me would do all he can to keep you from remaining captive and from continuing to sully the name of the city and tarnishing its seal. I love you all, and I'm planning to continue to help the council with more commentaries like this in the future.
Okay, just for clarification, we did not censure Councilmember Piotr. And sit down, you don't get up again. And this was beyond the jurisdiction of this council, which is what public comments are about, matters which the council has jurisdiction over. We don't have jurisdiction over that. So if there's further comments like this in the future, anyone gets up, and unless the council disagrees with me, I'm going to rule them out of order. I'm not seeing any heads disagreeing with me on that. Okay, next speaker, please. Sir?
Good evening. My name is Jim Moore, and I'm a homeowner on Poppy Avenue between PCH and Ocean Boulevard. I'm speaking tonight regarding the letter that City Manager Dave Kiff left on my doorstep and those of my neighbors last Wednesday evening regarding the poppy eucalyptus trees, just before the long weekend. In his letter, Mr. Kiff expressed concern for the safety of residents and property on the street and stated, "But age and declining health dictate that these trees need to come down before they come down on their own and at random." Mr. Kiff later in his letter states that ordinarily it is appropriate to have a community meeting to discuss these removals, but there's no alternative that I can offer at the meeting except removal. If that is so, I'd appreciate if Mr. Kiff could provide evidence to that fact, as his letter provides no evidence that I can see other than his worries and assurances that the city did look for second opinions. Examining the trees takes time, yet he could find no time to provide for a community meeting to discuss the issue or educate street residents as to why this drastic action was needed, a process by which my reading of the city's policy on special trees requires. Mr. Kiff, is there an arborist report showing which of the 36 trees are targeted and what the specific risks of each tree are? Was there a meeting of the PB&R Commission to discuss removal of these trees, and were the appropriate reports made to the Commission as spelled out in the city guidelines governing special trees before the decision was made to remove the trees? If so, why were residents not made aware of this? The trees must come down in all due haste before we have Santa Ana's, is the tone of Mr. Kiff's letter. Yet these trees have stood the test of time for some 8 decades. Eucalyptus rudis is a hardy, drought-resistant tree that has a lifespan of some 150 years or more. If there are diseased or dead trees, they should be removed, but I find it hard to believe that there are that many of them. Those eucalyptus give poppy its unique character and a microclimate unique to the village. They've been there longer than any of us, and I think have earned the right to be treated with more respect, dignity, and consideration the city manager seems to have accorded them. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Okay, thank you. I'll have Mr. Kiff answer your questions after we hear all the public comments. Okay, any other speakers come forward, please?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, city staff, and member of the community. My name is Tanya Pham. I'm a volunteer. I'm a VP development for with the Association of U.S. Army. I have an announcement. On Sunday, November 8th, the weekend before the Veterans Day, the Association of U.S. Army, partnership with the American Legion Post 716 in Los Alamitos, we organizing the Veterans Honor Ride to honor all nation veterans while raising funds to support the Veterans Services Center at the Joy Forces Training Base in Los Alamitos. It's gonna be an escorted parade style cruise to 14 different cities, which Newport Beach is one of. And on the back side of the flyers, which you had in front of you, show the route. And this is an opportunity for all citizens along the route to come out and, say thank you to the all the veterans. It's gonna. This is also the centerpiece of the ride. Is the ceremonies. The 3 ceremonies are the centerpiece. We're gonna have an opening ceremony at the base, and we're gonna have one stop at the VA Long Beach, which we honor wounded warrior, MIA, and POW. And we're gonna stop at the Legion in Los Alamitos. We're gonna have a celebration and also a special recognition to the Vietnam veterans as the 50th anniversary of Vietnam War, which I have an honor to have retired Mayor Howard Lewis. He's a Vietnam veteran. He's a pilot, and he was in Vietnam in 1967, 68, and 69. So we looking forward to your support and helping getting the work out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Just add one more word to that. I want to tell you how proud I am to come to a place like this and see you honor the flag, see you start with a prayer. As we all know, Vietnam veterans didn't come back to the honor that the young people are coming in today. But I tell my peer group that we can be proud of what we did, because I heard the young man who killed bin Laden say that it was our group that allowed the young people to come back and honor. So I honor your community, and I'm proud of my country, and I'm proud of organizations and young ladies like this that do this kind of work. This young lady was born in Vietnam. She's over here on doing this as a volunteer effort. So thank you for this chance to say that.
Can you state your names, sir?
I'm Howard Lewis, Major Howard Lewis, retired Army helicopter pilot, Vietnam vet, 68, 69. And I spent 35 years in the Army flying out of Los Alamitos and other places. I also spent 33 years with the LA City Fire Department.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you. Sounds like an excuse for me to get my Harley out and join the ride. So, not that I ever need an excuse, but
That sucker up.
Good
yes,
evening.
ma'am.
Leslie Miller. We've just concluded the beach summer at the beach on the peninsula, and I have a couple of comments you might not be aware of. First of all, an easy one. There's some areas where we need just an extra trash can on the beach, and some of we residents have picked up extra trash, put it in garbage bags, and left it right next to other trash cans. It should be easy for next summer, not necessary during the year. The other one, which is a new phenomenon, is we have an explosion of tents on the beach. People are using those tents more and more, and it's come to my attention that activities that I don't think you'd be too proud of are going on within those tents. And, diapers, private stuff, including marijuana, including, we don't need to bring all private matters to this, but it is, I don't think it's things you would approve of. In addition, they're blocking the view of even just stand up on the sidewalk by the pier, and you'll see that sometimes on the busy weekends in particular, it's just a mass of tents. Whether we could consider an ordinance on that or not is, of course, up to you, but I would be in favor of an ordinance before it becomes an annoyance and something that facilitates crime or violation of other ordinances. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, my name is Paul Mathias. I'd like to start by saying congratulations to the Council and City Manager Dave Kiff, Fire Chief Scott Poster, and especially Matt Brisboy. From my observation, Matt has, through great effort of his own, really created a CERT program that is probably, at least in the eyes of Washington, D.C., a model for the rest of the country. It really is something else, and that doesn't happen without the support from the Council and the other folks. City Manager and the Fire Chief as well. Earlier this year, I asked this body to request a grand jury investigation into the illegal leak of a confidential memorandum authored by the City Attorney and prepared by the City Clerk for the City Council. Following a lack of action on that request by the Council, I requested an alternative investigation be conducted by the Civil Service Board, as authorized in both the city charter and the municipal code regarding that investigation that I spoke of. To date, no information has been provided to the public regarding what amounts to a biased internal investigation conducted by well-meaning city employees on this serious employment-related issue. Confidence in the business of governance at the local level is important to the electorate of this city. The failure of the council to act in a transparent manner in the investigation and what in essence became a public shaming of a long-term employee and assistant city manager is something that is unfortunate and should be avoided. I ask that you somehow and in some way provide information and feedback regarding the outcome of that investigation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Come forward, please.
Hello, my name is Julie Hudash, and I'm the founder and CEO of Team Kids. I want to thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Dixon, for your sharing about the peer-to-peer event, and also congratulate all of you on this beautiful facility. We're lucky to run programs in 11 cities in Orange County and LA, and this was my first time here in council chambers. This is absolutely beautiful. Quickly, before I share a few details, I just want to share Team Kids is a nonprofit, and we've actually been running programs with the Newport Beach Police Department and Fire Department in Newport Beach schools for about 6 years. We run the flagship Team Kids Challenge program in our elementary schools during the day. Our mission is to empower our children to change the world, and we bring community heroes into our elementary schools where kids learn about homelessness, hunger, the environment, and how kids can make a difference in the world. So we're very proud to have been running programs here in Newport, and really, really excited to share a little bit more about our Team Kids peer-to-peer event in honor of International Peace Day. This is an event that was an idea a few short months ago, and thanks to the leadership here in Newport Beach from Deputy Chief McGill and our fire chief and our junior lifeguard program, it has become now an event that's getting attention on both coasts. I'm proud to share that we have partners from Hasbro flying in from Boston, and from Generation On, which is the youth volunteering arm of Points of Light at the White House, flying in from New York. The event is the peer-to-peer challenge. We're starting a wave of compassion, and depending on how long the wingspan is of a child versus an adult, we'll need anywhere from about 1,800 to about 2,100 people that will actually join hands on the sand between the Newport and the Balboa Pier. And so we're really excited. It's September 20th. It's actually a free event. We decided to forego any cost of participation so we can have people come out. We'll actually be out on the sand. We will create a human wave. And then we've rented Pavilion Park at the Balboa Pier, where we'll have pancakes, we have live music, and we have several of our beneficiary charities representing different critical needs in our community, such as Illumination Foundation, which helps the homelessness and the hungry, Operation Gratitude, that works with our deployed troops, and Explore Ocean has been a huge new partner with us that are going to be working on ocean conservation. Our goal to create this wave of compassion is not just this kind of kumbaya demonstration, though it is very powerful what we're doing, but to give families an opportunity to learn what issue really calls to them and their family, and to get an opportunity to learn from that charity to make a commitment to serve all year long. And so we're really excited. I will share more information electronically. Like I said, the event became much larger in short order. Martin Richard is, as you shared, the 8-year-old who died in the Boston Marathon bombing. His parents have started the Martin Richard Bridge Builder Foundation to change the world through the kind hearts of our children. It is a responsibility and a privilege to work with this family, beautiful family from Boston. And I do hope that you are able to come out and join us. If you could share the invitation for this free event. We're also going to be working with the Ben Carlson Foundation, and I had a beautiful opportunity to speak with Mr. Carlson today about honoring lifeguards. And again, it's about serving our community. So you can find out on our website, teamkids.org/peer-to-peer, and I've left some information here, as well as my business cards. Thank you very much for your support on this great event.
Okay, next speaker, please.
John Bryant. Never spoke before. Oh, is my time up? Okay.
That was quick.
Never spoke before council, so sorry if I'm a little nervous, but just giving a different perspective in regards to the trees on Poppy, and it comes from me growing up in Belmont Shore, coming down on this beach and making, going down PCH and making that right, and you just knew you were in Corona Del Mar, and going near Little Corona. But it's just a lot of great memories. But now I live on Poppy, and this letter sort of caught me by surprise, and it's just interesting that I was caught off guard in such a way where that letter just seems like, you just have no choice. Here's what's going to happen. The city could get sued, and we have to do it. That's this gentleman, Mr. Moore, sort of pointed out all the different points of the letter that, were to him, questionable. But to me, that's just the general feeling that I got. And I just wonder, I don't know what the council can do about that, or if it really is a lawsuit issue that the city is concerned about. But, I look out at Poppy every day. I see people from 5 a.m., to sundown, just walking down it, taking pictures, and it's just such a big part of the city, in my opinion, that I hope that it's taken into consideration that what trees are selected for taking down is it's needed. I'm not saying that there's some that aren't, because but I'd like to see something that more substantial that takes into consideration that everybody in the city should consider, because it is I think a special street. And while I'm up here, and I see I've got a minute and 16 seconds left.
You don't have to use it all,
I know you guys want to get home, but there are things that since I'm here and I may not be back, might as well say, the people that somebody just mentioned the tents on the city, on the beaches, but I noticed that this summer, like at Big Corona, there's people going around up and down the beach, like selling umbrellas and selling chairs, and it's just kind of ridiculous. But one thing that really got me this summer was those security guards at the Big Corona, about those where they hover over the fire pits, and I'm sure that it must be something about negotiations with the AQMD maybe, or there's so many fire pits that can burn wood and can burn charcoal, and you got to enforce that and everything else. But those security guards got us into a huge argument between fire pit people. I mean, it was like us. The security guards actually told another group in the fire pits in a adjacent fire pit that they could take our fire pit, and it got groups of people, which these were actually owners of businesses in Newport Beach. Those security guards need to be trained, need to understand that they can't, be the policeman of the beach.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, next speaker.
Hi, I'm Erin McDonald, and I want to thank you for this opportunity to voice
Hold
our
the mic
opinion.
down to your face a little bit,
Oh, I'm
please.
sorry. I know I'm a midget. Thank you for your service to our community, and thanks for this opportunity to address our issues. About the trees on Poppy. We moved here 13 years ago, partly because of the charm and quaintness of the neighborhood and the tree-lined streets. And in your own description, the city's own description, the trees are an important part of the character and the charm of the entire city and provide an environmental benefit as well. To establish, maintain appropriate diversity in tree species and age classes. From what I can read on your documentation, these eucalyptus trees would be deemed special trees. There is historic significance, and they contribute to the character and the location of the entire neighborhood. If there were a few that were diseased and needed to be taken down, there is a lifespan of a tree, and we understand that. But 36 of them, that entire street is going to have a lot more energy usage because there's not going to be the shade there. I did read that they would be, if they reforest a tree, it would be a 36-inch box or a 24-inch box and not a sapling, which I hope is true. But I'd like to know, if he's going to send out a letter like that, why wouldn't you send the documentation to support your decision as well? To send out a letter like that with no certified arborist examination report or anything of your findings, it's no wonder you have the neighborhood in kind of an uproar, because we'd like to see what type of reports and examinations you've actually done. The eucalyptus is not listed on your problem tree list that you guys have published. And we need just one councilman, our city councilman, to call on the issue. I don't know if you live in CDM, but there are neighboring cities that wouldn't allow this to happen. We consider them, if they're, 50, 80-year-old trees, to be landmark trees and to contribute to the charm of this neighborhood, which is why we purchased a home here and have been here for 14 years. If there's an overriding problem with these special trees, I think we should have been informed of the overriding problem first. It should have been brought to a meeting for residents to discuss, brought to a vote. But if it's a hazardous safety emergency, the city manager then has the ability to make that decision on his own. So I'd like to just have that addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, public comments? Come forward, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to keep it short. I also live on Poppy Avenue, and I think my two neighbors have expressed all the concerns eloquently. I do think it's also telling that it was only the residents on Poppy Avenue that were even notified. And this whole thing seems to be happening very quickly, so that there's very little reaction time from the community. I don't know when they're scheduled to actually be cut down, but it seems like it's been very quick, and just before a holiday weekend as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, ma'am, could you give us your name, please? Say it in the microphone.
Tracy Funke.
Thank you. Okay, any other speakers? Okay. Oh, see, one more coming up. How many more people want to speak under public comments? Okay, this will be the last one.
Hi, my name's Scott McDonald. I live on Poinsettia Avenue, directly one street over from where this is taking place. On our street, when we purchased 14 years ago, Poinsettia was probably the best tree-lined street. Now in the 200 block, they've removed 8 trees, and they haven't replaced them with anything. So what was the plan there? They've removed 2 from our property and 4 from our next door neighbor's property. They said the trees would be replaced. They haven't been replaced. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that closes public comments on non-agenda items. Mr. Kiff, did you want to respond to the questions on Poppy Avenue?
Certainly. And please know I appreciate your coming down here and what you've said. And as I said in my letter, one of the hardest things I've ever done is to have to direct to remove these trees as well as the previous eucalyptus. And that's an important context. It was about 5 years ago now, also in September, where I stood out on Irvine Avenue for about 3 hours waiting for someone to be taken out of a car. And it was a very chilling experience, as you can imagine. When we look at trees that we think are dangerous, and I'll just tell you how I look at that. First, I will always ask for a second and sometimes a third or fourth opinion. And I'll tell you a little bit about the poppy trees, and these documents can be made available to you. I've made them available to Julie Jacobs, actually, because Julie asked, and Ron Yo. Our contract arborist, Dan Jensen, took a first look at these in September of 14, and he said about 11 of them needed to come down right away. And I said, I don't want to take them down, so they can make it. I want this looked at again. And I put it off for a little bit, and so we had a second arborist, Walter Warrener, take a look at them in July. And there's always a risk in a second arborist coming by. Again, so this is a newer one. This is July of 15 that he dates this. And he concluded that not only did Mr. Jensen's trees need to come down, but 34, 35, 36 of them needed to come down. And he uses a different scale. It's a more updated scale than Dan Jensen used. And so Dan is now passed away, sadly. But Dan used a ranking system, and Walter used a different ranking system. And Walter's conclusion is about these 36. And they look at likelihood of failure, consequence of failure, what might fail, is it just a limb or is it the whole tree? They, of course, look at whether there are conchs, which are evidence of decay inside, whether it's high up in the tree or down low. And this was his conclusion, and I have that with me. And again, I've shared it with Julie, and I can put it on our website too, so you can look at it. But once we have that notification, that's not something that allows me to sleep at night, because I wouldn't. I try to look, would I encourage a family member to park on that street, and I wouldn't. And I feel remiss that I've even waited this long to ask for the trees to be removed. They will be marked before removal. The removals are, it depends on when our arborists, we've asked them to marshal their forces. You can imagine it takes a little while to get that rolling. It takes about, it's quite a bit of marshaling to occur there to get the crews in there. We expect it to happen this month. When we know the date certain, we'll let folks know. But this isn't something I can sit on any longer, and I don't think the council would want me to sit on any longer, and I'm hopeful that we can make it to the removal time without anything falling and anything awful happening. So I would like to work with you very closely, as Public Works would, on reforestation. That's a vital thing, is to say, what's the street going to look like next, and it should look like that quickly. We need to put trees there. I'm a believer in trees and streets. I know the council is too. I'll follow up on why poinsettia hasn't been replaced. Sometimes it's because the species isn't available that are desired, or the species in that size. But this council has made a new emphasis on making us telling us to plant more trees, and that's a good thing. The most important thing, once these are removed, is to plant new ones and get the street canopy back. I believe in street canopies. It really adds a lot to that neighborhood. So with that, I'll stop talking and, again, be happy to share with you all the documentation that I have.
Yeah, I'd just add one additional comment, and I think Councilmember Petros wants to say something, that Julie Brinkerhoff's one of the most respected landscape architects in the state. She's looking at the arborist report. She questioned it. She lives on the street. She called me about it, and I believe that she is intending to work with our staff on coming up with whatever reforestation plans we have on the street. I know that her philosophy is bigger is better. That's mine. There are some limitations what can be done with the street, and if there's anyone that can come up with a creative plan for that street, that's certainly her firm, Lifescapes International, certainly qualified to do it. Councilmember Petros?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Quickly, thank you for coming out tonight. This is something that hasn't been done lightly. I have been a staunch supporter of the urban forest, and I was shocked too when I got news that this was going to happen. Some things that I would like to encourage and will be following to make sure that it happens is that when the trees come down, every effort is made to quickly engage the residents so they have a say in what goes there. And I'd like to open it up to all possibilities to get a canopy back in that street. I don't know what's possible in terms of the species of trees, but I'd like to see if there isn't even a way with the community support that do we need cars on that street? Are both sides of the street backloaded with garages?
You mean, do we need parking on both sides?
Yeah.
Just the south side has some garages. The other side is mostly entryways to the front.
All right. Well, let's be very creative in the ways that we could possibly get that canopy back on that street, because you're right. It is iconic. It's something that speaks to the village, and we should do everything that we can to bring that back.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to oral reports from City Council on committee activities. Councilmember Piotr. Councilmember Petros?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Dixon?
No.
Councilmember Muldoon? Councilmember Duffy? Councilmember Curry?
No report.
I just have one quick one. The Local Coastal Plan Committee met on the 27th of August and took a look at the last revisions, we hope, to the draft LCP, and the Planning Commission will be holding their hearings this month. Is that correct, Kim?
Yes, that's correct. At the end of the month, we'll start with the study sessions.
And end of the month. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we move on to public hearings. The first one is the Community Development Block Grant Program, year 2014-2015. Kim?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Selledge, members of the council. As I think you are all very aware of, the city is a participant in the federal government's Community Development Block Grant Fund. And as part of being a member of or recipient of the grants that are made available as part of that funding effort, the city is required to prepare an annual report and submit it to the Department of Housing and Urban Development Department. So the report is contained in your staff agendas, and I do have with me Clint Whited with LDM, our consultant who prepared the CAPER for submittal to HUD, who can answer any detailed questions you want, or if you'd like a presentation, I can provide more detail.
I think that was a perfectly timed report. I think Councilmember Muldoon, did you have some questions on this item?
Yeah, I did. Is now the time to ask them?
It is.
Okay, thank you. So the amount here that we're being offered is how much?
So this is a report for our last year grant, which totaled in the amount of $326,590, and then we did have some grant money available from previous years that rolled our total over $400,000.
Is it roughly the same every year?
Yes, it is. It varies a little bit depending on how much funding is available through HUD, but it doesn't vary to a great amount.
I view it as a relatively small amount, but the reason I'm asking these questions is because I've heard concerns about strings that will be tied to this money. Are you aware of any future uses that the federal government will use regarding these grants?
That's a very broad comment in terms of strings being attached to the money. Obviously, there are certain things that we have to use the money for, and that's very specifically prescribed by the federal government, and that's part of this annual report back to the federal government, telling them exactly how we are spending the money and complying with our program. So it's correct that their strings are attached to the program, but we know what those strings are as a recipient.
Well, it's probably too much detail to go into now. I guess all I want to be aware of is there's been reporting on this in the press about mandatory housing requirements, and I know that we have some already. So I'll talk about it with you offline, but my only concern is just that we're aware of them because a couple residents have expressed concern to me, and I'm not familiar with it, that's why I'm asking, about what those restrictions are and how the federal government can use them to require us to build certain structures or communities.
Okay, I'd be happy to speak to you about that further.
Okay, Councilmember Petros.
The program administration and fair housing line item was about $73,400. As I recollect, last year it was something in the order of about $66,000 to $68,000. Can you describe what the increase is?
Councilmember Petros, this is a combination of both our administration of the program as well as our grant to the fair housing. So we've combined them together. Okay. So possibly that's
okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other council comments or questions? Anybody from the public wish to comment on this item? Okay, I'll bring it back to council for motion.
I'll move the recommended action.
Second.
Okay, please vote when the screen comes up.
The motion carries unanimously, 7-0.
Okay, move on to item number 20, approval of master fee and change and subsidies. I'll entertain a motion to continue this to September 22nd. Okay, any public comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, please vote when the screen comes up.
The motion carries unanimously, 7-0.
Okay, next item is 21, appointments to the Library Board of Trustees. Madam Clerk?
Reset that for a moment. This is the time in which there are 2 vacancies for the Board of Library Trustees. The City Council will be voting by paper ballot. They'll be casting 2 votes of the 4 nominees, and in order to be appointed, the nominee must receive at least 4 votes.
Okay, please vote on your ballots. While we're counting the ballots, any public comments on this item? Okay, seeing none. Close that.
Councilmember Piotr votes for Jill Johnson Tucker and Janet Ray. Councilmember Petros, Jill Johnson Tucker and Janet Ray. Councilmember Curry, Jill Johnson Tucker and Janet Ray. Councilmember Muldoon, Jill Johnson Tucker and Janet Ray. Councilmember Duffield, Jill Johnson Tucker and Janet Ray. Mayor Pro Tem Dixon, Jill Johnson Tucker and Janet Ray, and Mayor Selich, Jill Johnson Tucker and Janet Ray. They will each have a 4-year term on the Board of Library Trustees. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and congratulations to our 2, 1 returning and 1 new library board trustee. Okay, item number 22, the East Coast Highway Traffic Signal Rehabilitation Project, award of construction contract. Mr. Webb?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, council members. This is a large signal project we've been working on for some time. Mark Vukovic is here, our city engineer, deputy director of public works, to give you a short report tonight.
Very briefly, this project will entail replacement and rehab of 14 traffic signals along East Coast Highway. The map is attached in your staff report. What does that mean? Poles, lights, pole boxes, wiring, cabling, all of the nuts and bolts associated with traffic signals. It's nearly a $2 million investment that we're making, and the majority of this was formerly owned and maintained by Caltrans, and the city accepted that relinquishment back in several years ago. We're also updating some of the lighting there in Corona del Mar to match with the lighting standard. And the contractor will be ordering the materials over the next few months, and heavy construction will start after the holidays in January and be complete by the end of next summer. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions of staff? Any public comments on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back for motion.
Second.
Okay, please vote when the screen comes up.
The motion carries unanimously, 7-0.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
Motion for reconsideration, a motion to reconsider the vote on any action taken by the City Council, either this meeting or the previous meeting, may be made only by one of the council members who voted with the prevailing side.
Any motions for reconsideration? Okay, seeing none, thank you all for your brevity this evening, and we're adjourned. I'm ready to go.